All right, in this example, we are asked to find the derivative, which you may recognize as our difference quotient from the past. But this is the same way that we find derivatives. We want to find the derivative of this function, the square root of negative x plus 6. So to do this, the very first step that we need to do is figure out what f of x plus h is. And so I need to just replace x with x plus h in my function and simplify. So this would be the square root of negative x minus h plus 6. And then the next step is to take f of x plus h minus f of x, which in this case would just be the negative x minus h plus 6 that I just found, minus the square root of negative x plus 6. And then we're going to need to divide everything through by h, and that's that. There are multiple blanks for this question, and this would be the answer to the first one. The next blank wants you to do the same thing, but change the form of this so that you have the numerator rationalized. To rationalize the numerator, what we need to do is take the conjugate of the numerator, which just tells me to take each term in this binomial and change the sign in between them. And of course, divide top and bottom by that value. Okay, now in the numerator, I have this term times this term. It's effectively the same thing as if I had a minus b times a plus b, which would be a squared minus b squared, the difference of squares. What's important with that is when I square a square root, the square root disappears. So effectively I just have negative x minus h plus 6 minus negative x plus 6. And that's all over my denominator, which would be h times all of this stuff with the square root still involved. So those don't disappear. Okay, now in the numerator, this negative can distribute to both terms within the set of parentheses, making this a positive and that a negative. Now when that happens, I have a negative 6 and a positive 6 which cancel, and a positive x and a negative x which cancel. So the only thing left in the numerator right now is negative h. So then the denominator, let me just copy it all over here real quick. Both numerator and denominator share a factor of h, and I could cancel that out. So now it's just negative 1 over all that stuff in the denominator. At this point, we're ready to take the limit as h goes to 0. And what happens is, well, let me copy this first and then I'll tell you. All right, so what happens is when h goes to 0, only this little term right here goes to 0, which leaves me negative 1 over square root of negative x plus 6 plus the square root of negative x plus 6. The square root of negative x plus 6 appears twice, and when you add something 2 times, it's the same thing as 2 times that. And there we have it. There's our final answer.